Absolutely. That's I think your probably second or third favorite hobby. So yeah, you do it well. You've
Oh,
owned
it's definitely the top 5.
for sure. So, but this would not be the Common Good Radio Show if I did not give thanks to a very loving Father that blesses me and all these awesome men that I have in studio with me. Has allowed my 16-year-old and 6-year-old sons to be here. They're 10 years in age, but they act like they're best friends. So it's kind of fun to see. But I want to particularly thank God today with the Lord's Prayer. It goes a little something like this. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespass, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
So that being said, we got one of my many awesome guest co-hosts, and definitely a budding buddy. You're easily going into the top 10 group of people that I surround myself with. So that means when I point to you, I say I am him, because I regularly say to people, you are the make up the top 5-10 people you hang out with. So I'm proud to say that I'm you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate definitely the friendship that we've already built, and just how much I've learned from you in so many different capacities, and even areas I didn't expect. Like you're this food connoisseur. I didn't even realize that you were. But today we're here to talk about Solar Source.
Yes.
And the work that you've been doing for a while now, just to try to help meet people where they are and where their needs are in regards to how to minimize or ostensibly eliminate the electricity bill and replace it with a solar payment that will actually be an asset rather than just paying rent for that electricity every month.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when you're paying the utility, you're paying too much for your power. I mean, that's as simple as it can get. But on top of that, when you own your solar, you're also adding value to that house. And I believe that you can attest to that as well, being in the mortgage industry, right?
Oh, absolutely. Once you own those panels and they're yours, it definitely adds value to that house.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's leases out there, and that's right for some of my clients, but not most of my clients, not here in Arizona. Especially with the federal tax credit that is out there, it's a 30% of the total purchase cost of the solar system, regardless of who you go with. And and we do have a saying that we just want a planet run by the sun, and that is the truest thing that you can say, because it's definitely a huge benefit for everybody and everything involved with that.
So I know who was I speaking with just recently? I was speaking with, I think, an accountant about just our organization and tax credit versus refunds or
rebates.
Rebates, and those different things. So kind of explain to our listeners what exactly this tax credit means in relation to applying it to your system.
So the biggest thing that I can say for that is I'm not a CPA. I'm not an accountant in any way, but with the tax credit.
But you'd be such a good one.
I would lose my mind in an office all day long.
Sure,
there's a reason I like going out to people's homes and not sitting in an office talking on the phone. But with the tax credit is it's on the back end, so it offsets your tax liability instead of being a rebate, which reduces your income and your taxable income. Is the simplest way that I can explain that. So it's literally off of what you owe the IRS at the end of the year.
Okay, cool. And then I know, something we talk about regularly that's just, a constant, whether it's the rise in interest rate, inflation, oil, cost of gas, all these stuff is constantly happening. But particularly in the summer, it hits in every single spot. So kind of speak to that a little bit.
So everybody opens that utility bill, and it's extraordinarily high during the summertime, and that's because your biggest appliance in your home is your AC, and if you've got that AC running, you're going to spend a lot more on that power.
John looks like a type of guy that likes it at 77, 78 degrees tops.
My wife would love it if it was 78. It's 71.
71, huh?
Yeah. She's sitting in the house under blankets and long sleeves and pants, and she looks at me and goes, "You do know this costs money?" I'm like, "Yeah, and I make it."
Fair enough. And I understand that completely. But with the solar, one of the cool things about that is that I don't know if you knew this or not. With the utility here, the more power you use, the more you're actually buying. And in fact, it goes up in tiers. The first 500 kilowatts, the next 500 kilowatts, and anything over 1,000. And all of those rates are going up by 12% here in September. And in fact, and then they're going to be going up again next year and the next year after that. Historically, it's been 4% increase.
So, on the TEP bill, it comes out and it says, this is a good person, this is a normal person, this is somebody slightly expensive. And then at the bottom, there's one that says, this is you. I have like a 3-foot line on my power bill because we're 2 people and we somehow use more power than a house of 6.
So why don't you have solar?
That's the topic for another day. Not on the air.
I would love to sit down with you and do just a power review. In fact, and that's one of the greatest things about what we do is we just do a power review and it's conversation because it's a no obligation free consultation. So we can come out to the house and just look at what we have to offer for you. And if that's something that works, if solar makes sense for you, then we can move to the next steps. If it doesn't, guess what? No big deal. Move on.
Yeah, and having sat down with Wesley and kind of been through the process. I mean, it's the same like with you. It's just it was super smooth and it was painless. Even though it seems like always like going to the dentist. It's like it always seems like it's gonna be so painful, but it really wasn't. And and it's the cool thing about. I think the work that we all collectively do is just like we're in the relationship building business.
Absolutely.
And that's what I just really love about working with both of you guys is like well before we ever did business, we had a relationship. And you guys definitely you showed me authentically that you cared about me as a person and helping me get to where me and my wife where our goals are, not just okay, let's punch this number and move on to the next.
Fair enough. No, thank you for everything.
You'll take it
2 ways.
Yeah,
both
for
ways.
sure.
There you go.
For sure. So before we go to break, let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you and how they can plug in if they're interested.
Simply call me directly, 520-223-1729. That's 520-223-1729. You can find me on social media as well. But if you have to spell it right. It's Solar Source, so it's SORCE because that's my last name. So.
Yeah, he's just clever like that. Yeah, because if you put an SOURCE, everybody's using that.
Nobody has that. Well, but SORCE. But reach out and let's talk. Yeah,
and my suspicion is he may be back after the break, so you guys will have to stick around to find out, but definitely want to give a special thanks to our sponsors, Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing, Inspire Life Mortgage, Inspire Life Chiropractic and Wellness, PEP Inc., Solar Source, got them right here, Gap Ministries, Better Business Bureau serving Southern Arizona, Seat in Photography, Eric's Art, The Marketing Corner, Action Print and Copy, Veteran Rescue Mission, and Home Community Services. We'll have all that and more after this break. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to your great-grandma's favorite radio show, The Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. It's her favorite show because your grandma respects the veterans, and she loves the work that we do to help connect them with services. And right here in the studio, we have 2 veterans and possibly 2 future veterans. I don't think John Spur is going to be signing up because I don't think you're even allowed to. You have to be under 35 to be able to go to basic training.
Yeah, I'm very beyond 35, and the first time around they didn't take me because I was already broken from high school wrestling.
I get that. I get that.
They can waiver that.
Well, yeah, they waiver it now, but they're not going to waiver the fact I'm almost 50.
You are in great shape though, so they may want to. I mean, you're super buff, so we could definitely use plenty of people lifting sandbags in the military.
Oh, Chris, so you already signed me up for grunt work. I'm like the 50-year-old grunt of the military. Perfect.
Yeah, so if you have picked it up, is Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I'm Pastor John McClain, here with one of my awesome guest co-hosts, John Spur of Inspire Life Mortgage, and then we have one of my other guest co-hosts that's actually a guest. He's in the hot seat today, and his name is Wesley Source. He is with Solar Source. And thank you guys both for coming in always and kind of being guest co-host and regularly just interviewing each other back and forth month in and month out. So I think you guys are going to be probably closer friends than we are eventually, because like you guys are just constantly either you're going to be in the guest seat or you're going to be in the guest seat, just switching off.
I thought he was going to take my place because he doesn't pick on you as much, and you were going to drop me off the top 10. so that he can get into the top 10.
I like the picking on.
Well, I don't know if you remember the last time. I have to be able to pronounce his last name correctly first.
Yeah,
Well, no, I know. I mean, it's very, very close
yeah.
and
that's
confusing.
I've been getting it my whole life, so yeah, I don't blame you whatsoever. I mean, realistically, especially at this point in my life, there are worser people that I could be associated with. So
Fair enough.
yeah, I'll take that one. I could, and also like I've been saying for years, I'm just glad my name isn't Ronald McDonald. Yeah,
That's fair. I can understand that one completely.
yeah. So to pick up kind of where we left off about the solar stuff, before we went to break, we were talking about how kind of just the rising costs and just how it makes sense, whether it's tax credits or from an economics standpoint, to have a solar system in comparison to paying the electric company for the electricity. Let's just say, I got that system put on my house.
Mhm.
What does that look like?
So once you get the system put on, I mean, you could buy the system outright, and your return on investment with that is typically between 6 and 8 years, depending on your utility. But you can also do a loan, and the loan replaces your utility bill, so you don't have to worry about that changing all the time. Because really, with the utility company, we don't have a choice. They can change the what they're going to charge us tomorrow, and we have to charge it if we want lights.
I heard what 21% it's gone up over the past year.
Over the last 12 months. Like I said, they're doing a 12% increase September 1st. So that's only going up. Next year, they're also talking about a huge increase as well. So, I mean, they're pushing for rate increases. And one of the CEOs of utility here locally actually came out and said, hey, now's the time to invest in the power company. And it's kind of amazing to hear that, because that means that we're going to pay more for our power over time, because that's how they're going to increase those rates and those stocks. And when you get the loan, you've replaced that utility bill, and that utility bill then never changes, because you're buying your own power, you're producing your own power, so it's going to be the same bill every single month. And you're locked in a low rate loan, but you know what your bill is going to be every month, and which is a huge factor, and that's where I like what we do, because not only can I lower it immediately, your average bill, but then you stabilize it as well, so you don't see those rate increases as they go through next year and the following year and the year after that. Like I said, historically, there's been a 4% increase from 2000 to now. And so in 10 years, it's a 40% increase. And that's if they don't escalate it, which they are, because, again, 12% increase this year.
So at break, we were talking about my power bill a little bit. And over the last 3 years, I probably had 5 different people quote me solar for our house, because they come to the door and they knock, and if I got a minute, fine, I'll listen.
Yeah.
And I think other people have had the same experience I've had, where what I get quoted from one solar company to another is immensely different. You need this many panels, you need that many panels, your price is this big, your price is that big, you need a battery wall the size of the Great Wall of China. I'm confused, and I don't understand why it's like that, and who to believe and who not to believe. Obviously, if I had you come out, I'd believe you, because I see you all the time and sit next to you, and I know to trust you. But I don't get.
Well, I wouldn't
want
to upset somebody that I see all the time. Yeah, right. And that's one of the best things about us and the group I'm with. It is literally locked in pricing. So, and it's a custom system as well. So if you need more panels, which it sounds like you need a lot more panels, maybe, but.
I need a whole nother house to put panels on.
I could do a ground mount. It'll be a beautiful gazebo in the back. It'll just be solar panels for you. But that's something that we could do as well. But putting them on your roof, makes a little bit more sense because it financially, it makes more sense. But as far as your solar panels, you're going to need more than, say, somebody else that moved into the house, because you keep the house, you like to keep the house cold, where other people might not. I know the house that I sold in 2021, the new homeowners don't see a bill from TEP, where I saw a bill from TEP during the summertime, because I like to keep my house cold.
What temperature do you like to keep it at?
I like to. My perfect temperature is 70. That's what I sleep. That's what I have the house at when I'm sleeping.
I don't turn the heater on in the winter, and I open the windows, and Rachel just hunkers down. Man.
Right
what I
now,
love
that temperature
doing,
in my
yes.
house is 80 degrees.
That's
Does that sound sweltering to you? Would that melt you?
lots of cold drinks.
Yeah.
I would probably bring over a giant EG.
Yeah.
There would be no more
Oh,
clothes.
you know if I invite you over now.
There would be no more clothes left for me to take off to get comfortable at 80.
Well, don't bring over any. Don't go over my house because you are not allowed to do that at my house.
That's like my in-laws, and yeah, no, it's turn on the fan, and then usually when my father-in-law's not looking, I turn down the AC a little bit.
Interesting. Yeah, I have a hard time when I go to my parents' house. Yeah, I want to think 69, 70 is what they keep it at. So I'm always sweaters and like wearing sweatpants underneath my pants. That gets bad. But real quick, we have probably about a minute before I have to take off. But firstly, tell her. I mean, why don't people get solar? Let's kind of talk about that, and then how can people get a hold of you once again?
Because they don't understand. I mean, that's the biggest thing, and that's the biggest conversation that I have every time is explaining what solar is, how we can benefit. Because we're working with a company that's been in business for more than 16 years. When you're looking at somebody that's coming around and knocking the doors, it's typically a lot less than that, and they're not going to be around. But that's the biggest difference. Is it's going to be around for a long time. But you can reach me at 520-223-1729. Again, the number is 520-223-1729. 1729.
Awesome. And I don't know, we got about 30 seconds. Anything else you want the listeners to know before we jump out of here?
Wesley Source, that's S-O-R-C-E.
S-O-R-C-E.
And I am your solar source, and you're a source for solar.
Source for solar. And he's a really nice guy. Definitely someone you can trust because we sit next to him. So you could take our word for it. He's a really cool guy. If you haven't been to the Arizona Sands Club, check that out. That's where I met this cool gentleman. He hangs out there regularly. And also go to veteranrescuemission.org or homecommunityservices.com. Check out all of our partners, all the work that we do to help connect veterans with housing, the different parts of this radio show in our media group. And then we also do counseling. We don't really talk about that too much, but couples counseling particularly is our focus, and veterans. So if you need help in those areas, 520-329-9192 or veteranrescuemission.org or homecommunityservices.com. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I am Pastor John McLean, here with one of my many awesome guest co-hosts, Mr. John Spur with Inspired Life Mortgage. He likes to pick on me, so prepare yourself.
I'm not picking on you ever again.
Oh, okay.
Because you are such a baby about it.
Lie.
I'm just not going to do it.
Bold-faced lie. But speaking of awesome people that I have in my life, we have another amazing, just supporter of the work that we've done. Certainly when I first reach out to this guy, I think I've told this story a lot, but when I first reach out to him, just really open-hearted, open-minded guy who was, super supportive of the work we do and wanted to help in any way that he could. And since then, we've done, I want to think, close to a dozen projects through their organization, and the intricacy and the touch that they have and the level of care is unlike what I've seen with many organizations. Not even just to mention somebody in his industry. So. Once again, thank you, Curtis Rollman with Action Print and Copy, for joining me, brother.
Oh, thanks for having me, John.
Yeah.
And John. Nice
Yeah,
to,
John.
nice to be
The
here with you.
Johns.
The Johns or John Squared, however we want to do it.
Yeah, whatever works. We gotta work on with brand development. Do some polling on what names they like.
Focus groups.
Focus groups,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
For the two people that can't ever focus. That
Yeah,
sounds great.
absolutely. So, just kind of a refresher for our audience in case they never heard of Action Print and Copy. They're not familiar with who you are. Curtis, who is Action Print and Copy?
Well, we're a local company. We do all manner of printing, everything from business cards to banners to signage, apparel, promotional products. We kind of try to be a one-stop shop for all of our customers, big and small.
Mm-hmm.
We have two shops. One's here in Tucson, First and Prince. The other is in Green Valley at I-19 and Esperanza, just a little bit south of Sahuarita, but not much. And like I said, we're the quick printers, and we also do large jobs for people. Again, we try to help clients be a one-stop shop.
Yeah, and I think the thing I like about you guys, and in comparison to whether it be, you know, the big shop places that you go that do similar services, or the places that you go online that do similar services, is just like the level of care that you get when you go to Action Print and Copy is uncomparable. I don't know if this is something you hear regularly, or this is kind of maybe even something you even built your business model around. But like when I go to some of these other places, whether it's just waiting forever, or even like they're just kind of just pointing me to stuff to get the help, or it's just like even when I get them the information, they don't really kind of check on it to make sure that, you know, it's not horrible, or it's not completely misspelled, or just completely out of place. But when I go to your place, like I mean, it's really a level of customer care and customer service unlike I see, you know, anywhere. You know, what would you account to that, and is that something that you hear regularly?
Yeah, I mean, we hear that a lot. You know, I think that's part of being a local business. I mean, you don't have a huge corporation behind you for advertising budgets, and so you've got to have word of mouth. Your employees don't feel like a number. So I think they take some pride in that. You know, we're a small group, but we're also kind of big shots. You know, we're trying to. I hear that sometimes, but I always like to correct myself. You know, we've grown a lot over the last few years, and you know, we're trying to be, you know, a big shot in Tucson, so to speak. But again, it's more about, you know, you're not a number. You're you know, our employees really care. It means a lot to them, and that of course means a lot to me. And so customer service is where it has to all start.
Yeah. And another thing that kind of comes to mind is like when I do go in these other places, sometimes they have like one, maybe two staff members at best to kind of like handle like these needs. But like when I go to your place, I feel like you guys are appropriately staffed. Like I always feel like I'm not just waiting around all day, and I feel like, you know, there's always kind of like they're handling it immediately, and whatever I do need done, like there's someone there to kind of hold my hand to walk me through it, versus, you know, not so much at these other places. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I mean,
as well?
it's difficult, again, as a small business, you know, staffing and labor costs and all that. It's a tricky deal. You've got to really be careful, but I would rather have a little bit of extra to, you know, take care of our clients, instead of just kind of treat them like, oh, we'll just go to the website. Although we do have a pretty nice website, and people can order there as well.
Nice.
It's www.printapc.com. But we don't force people to use it. We don't say that's really your only route to working with us. So
yeah, that's actually a question I was going to ask. I'm glad you answered that even before I had to ask it, because yeah, that's cool. You know, something for everybody. Yeah, even if, you know, if you don't want to deal with the friendly people at Action Print and Copy.
I mean, we love it when people put in orders in the middle of the night, or you know, you know, that's the goal. You want to open your doors, so to speak, 24 hours a day, if you can. But yeah, our employees really work hard, and ultimately that's the key.
Yeah. So I know this summer you're doing a big apparel push. Just because, you know, kind of like, you know, with any business, you have a litany of services, and, you know, and people don't really know, you know, what to really focus on. But right now, we want to have them focus on the different apparel services that you guys do.
We you know, that's a challenge when you call yourself a one-stop shop and you do so many different things. That's always a challenge for people to know everything you do, and for us, you know, it's just, we constantly got to be talking about it. But with apparel, we're trying to really sort of get more forward with that, you know, more displays in the shop. You know, just talking about it, we do you know, we do transfers, vinyl transfers, full color and single color, and we try to, you know, it's somewhere in the middle of printing directly to the shirt, and then screen printing that takes, you know, sometimes, you know, a month, or embroidery takes a long time as well, usually, and it's pretty costly. So we've kind of found a middle of the road kind of thing that looks really nice. You know, I'm wearing, you know, one right now, and we can do them in full color. So we're really just trying to make sure that everybody understands that we do that, and, you know, help grow our business, and help a lot of our clients who have that need, and they're just going to other places. So shirts, hats, We even have a sublimation printer which helps you put logos on cups and things like that. So for shorter runs, even people can, if they just want one mug, they could get it.
Mhm.
Instead of having to go online and order 25 of them or something and pay a ton of shipping.
Yeah.
We're trying to do a lot of those different things. And this summer we're trying to really focus on it because we happen to have a little bit more time in the summertime. Tucson slows down generally.
Yeah, right, for sure. And one last time, how can people get a hold of you if they want to connect?
So locally at either one of our shops, Tucson and Green Valley, our website, www.printapc.com. You can get our phone numbers there. So just give us a call. Come in and see us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Curtis, for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
This is the Common Good Radio Show brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I am Pastor John McClain here with John Spur of Inspired Life Mortgage. We'll be back right after this break. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the cool listenings of Common Good Radio Show brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I am Pastor John McClain here with Mr. John Spur of Inspired Life Mortgage, here to do the color commentary, and I'll do the play-by-play.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, for sure. You're good at it. So we have one of our, my many awesome friends via the Arizona Sands Club here with us today. He is, it's funny, you said something, I want to think, at least 6 months ago that really blew my mind when you did your elevator pitch at the Arizona Sands Club, where I've seen this gentleman, he speaks regularly. We all do our little elevator pitch at different networking meetings. And, just kind of just give you a little peek behind the curtain. He's a financial advisor, and he's written a book, and he's, definitely working with, a lot of, awesome people and really helped them out. And one time when he was doing his elevator pitch at the Arizona Sands Club, he's like, well, I'm particularly looking for people that are looking to invest at least $200,000. I don't know if I quote that correctly or not, but something along those lines. And then I was just, when he said that, I was just like, I may not be the best customer for him. But without further ado, I introduce you, Mr. Bob Call with Sabino Investment Management, and thank you for joining us once again, brother. I'll have you speak to that what I remember from that elevator pitch.
Well, I wish I had a pooled investment vehicle like a mutual fund or a closed-end fund to, serve more people. But I charge 1% of the assets managed, so I don't work on a commission basis. So somebody that goes into a brokerage office, they may be paying 5 to 6% commission up front, and so that. So I need to work with a larger amount of money. Plus, I use a combination of individual stocks and also some ETFs and mutual funds. So but when you're using individual securities, you have to be working with larger accounts.
Yeah. So, and really what I saw from that when you said that, more than okay, I need to get my assets together and definitely get into a new income bracket, is okay, this guy knows what he's doing. If these are the type of guys, this is the type of customers that he's looking for at this level, he must really know his stuff, and he must be really working with some real high quality people. So I definitely that all it made an impression on me, and I've seen kind of just I've heard from the people that you have worked with, you have a really good reputation. I mean, you're a real quality guy. You just, in general, you're just a good character person. So I really appreciate that about you. But enough making your head big here. So how would you define value and growth when it comes to stocks?
Yep. So in my book that you can download from my website, in chapter 5, I devoted a chapter to value versus growth stocks, because there have been a lot of studies done over the years. These are longer term studies over, 15, 20 years using different databases, U.S. stocks, international stocks, over different time periods. And they all came up with the same results, that value outperform the growth stocks.
Mm-hmm.
So so some of the ways they define value in growth stocks are based upon price to book value or price to earnings, price to free cash flow, and for growth stocks they sometimes look at different variables like sales growth, earnings growth. And so if you look at Morningstar, a lot of people look at Morningstar.
Mm-hmm.
They calculate a composite score using 10 different variables.
Okay.
And so, it's kind of a complicated algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are some of the differences between value and growth stocks.
Interesting. And so what do the financial studies show, like in response to value versus growth stocks?
First of all, they showed that performance over longer periods of time, the value stocks had an advantage compared to growth stocks or benchmark indices.
Mm-hmm.
So, and recently, value stocks underperformed growth stocks,
mm-hmm.
but for several years actually.
Mm.
But the question is, do you want to abandon a strategy that has worked over a long period of time?
Mm.
If it underperforms for 1 or 2 years, probably not.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and kind of like in that same vein, like how would you describe like your modality and the way that you invest in comparison to other investors, or what makes you unique in comparison to the way other people invest?
Well, in the past, when it came to equities or stocks, I used individual stocks, and then on the fixed income side, I used closed-end funds, often selling at a discount to net asset value. So I could buy a portfolio of fixed income securities for 85 cents on the dollar. And so I still look at some closed-end funds. However, I don't have many right now. I have the dividend and income fund, which is a closed-end fund, trading at about a 35% discount to net asset value. But that's the only closed-end fund I have at the present time. So and as far as equities are concerned, I use both ETFs and individual stocks. So and I kind of split the difference between the two. So the individual stocks is kind of a short list. And I would say that the individual stocks that I select are typically, they're value stocks in my opinion, but you'll see a significant difference in the valuation. And so recently NVIDIA has been in the news quite a bit. And NVIDIA sells for 223 times the last 12 months of earnings. And so analysts expect the earnings to improve substantially. So if you look at the forward price to earnings ratio, it's only at 55. But also, if you look at the revenue growth, for the last quarter compared to the prior year, it's down 13%. So, I think a lot of people have great expectations for NVIDIA and have really bid up the price. I have a stock which I consider a growth stock. It's PayPal. Based upon the forward PE, that's selling at 13.8 times earnings. And revenue has grown from 10 billion in 2016 to 28 billion today. So and it's been steady growth. They haven't had any down periods during that time.
Interesting.
So
in chapter 4 of your book, you say that factors refer to any characteristic of a group of securities that is useful in explaining expected return and risk. What are some of the common factors used by ETFs or mutual funds to create portfolios?
Okay. So there are a lot of ETFs and mutual funds out there that use factors. So they're not going into a lot of detail. They're not reading the press releases for the companies. They're just designing a portfolio based upon a factor approach. So some of the common ones are value, and that's often defined that's often, those portfolios are often created based upon the price to book value. And, but there are often multiple factors that they're looking at. So they're often looking at market capitalization.
Okay.
So they may want a large cap value fund, so they'll set a floor on the market cap for the securities that they consider. Dividend yield is also a common factor. Momentum. Momentum I'm less comfortable with because momentum changes.
Yeah.
And so you're just kind of going with the flow, with momentum. Profitability, so that's the ratio that they look at there is often return on equity. So they want to, they want to see a high return on equity for capital invested.
And I want to throw you a little curveball, but it's underhand. It's a softball.
Okay.
And I always love to ask this question to my financial friends. So what are your thoughts on crypto?
I've never been a fan of crypto, so
because definitely based off of just that analysis that you gave me about the common factors used by ETFs or mutual funds to create portfolios, it seems like crypto would have a really hard time meeting the scrutiny that this evaluation or this kind of metric uses here. Yeah,
I think several years ago the argument for crypto was that some people in China that had a lot of capital there wanted to get their capital out of the country, and there were capital restrictions. So some people took a position just based upon the anticipation that they would use Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency to transfer capital out of the country. And so I think that was a legitimate argument, but I never got comfortable with the explanation for crypto. They say, well, like in the case of Bitcoin, they say, well, we're creating new coins, but it has to be mined, and so they put a lot of computers to work, doing computations.
Yeah.
And supposedly some of those computations are to keep track of where all the Bitcoins are and who owns them. And so I'm thinking, well, why is it that complicated?
Well, that's the music letting us know that you have to tell us how people can get a hold of you and utilize your services.
Okay, look at my website, sabinoim.com, and it has my contact information. You can also download my book for free if you click on the financial literacy tab.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, Bob. This is Bob Call with the Sabino Investment Management. This is the Common Good Radio Show brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I'm Pastor John McClain here with John Spur. See you next time.